Hey YouTube, Dragon Shinobi here with a review of the Figma Kamen Rider Sting from Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. The 6th in the Dragon Knight Figma series, SP024. The package is done in a nice pink color to represent, I guess, his magenta color, but Decade Syndrome here. His logo right here, and then in the back. Pretty neat picture here, all things considered. Pretty much the same style as all the other ones. On the back here we've got a bunch of different poses for Sting. I'm not too sure which one I'm going to do. This one up here is very, very flaming, I think. He looks very majestic. So I might try to do that just because it's funny to me. Despite Tezuka and Chris both being fairly decent characters, Sting was never a favorite of mine, not even because of the color, but just because I don't particularly care for stingrays, and the suit design never really struck me as something really cool. But, this could be a very bad review. I'm going to say that right now. This could either go great or end very badly. So we'll have to see how Sting wants to cooperate. But, just warning you now. So here we have Sting. Detail-wise, he's not too bad. He's got these giant Kuga Titan-like shoulder pads. They're on a really bad joint. I'll cover the joints later. All these are really nice and penned in for the most part. So the line designs are really good. The arm designs are pretty much the same kind of arm designs that we've come to know. The upper portion being a little bit different, obviously. Legs are all the same details except for the magenta color. His advent deck right here. And then the back. He does have his braid, which is, the Japanese language just totally killed the word braid for me, but, this falls out really easy. So while you're posing the head, you can easily knock it off. That was off screen, I think. But point stands is that it can be easily knocked off, and then the curve is just kind of really dumb. It probably shouldn't be curved like that. But braid aside, the back is pretty nicely done. So I can't really complain too much about the details. There goes the braid again. Just the figure itself has a lot of flaws. So first, the head joint itself. They all share the same base mold, so I don't really know what this guy's problem is. As you can see, Strike doesn't have the problem whatsoever. But what's happening with Sting here is that, like, his head doesn't go all the way into the socket, or like at least when you push it all the way in, the minute you try to move it, it just raises again. So he's got this big hole right there where his like chin is, right there, and it looks really bad. So you got that going against it. The shoulder pads are just on a basic 2-peg, 2 little tiny holes, very simple joint. However, if you can see right there, it's like crooked, so that one like isn't even in a hole at all. It's just kind of resting there. So if you keep fiddling with it, or raise the shoulders a certain way, it's going to bend the plastic, or it's going to happen like this. It's just going to pop out completely. During that posing, I had it either pop out like this, or pop out of the joint. It just kind of, it isn't a good joint. I mean, look at it right here. I really wasn't doing too much to it either, and it's just horribly bent. And it's not particularly too strong of a joint. And his braid came off again. So, it's the same way on this joint. It's either too tight or too loose, and the pegs don't match up, and it's not mine either. Everyone I've talked to has this problem with Sting. Particularly with things just falling apart. Dawson's like exploded on him, and Soundout got fed up and threw him on the floor, and Sting just doesn't really have a particularly good track record. So far, this is actually going really good, so I'm glad for that. Articulation-wise, the shoulder pads are an obvious hindrance. Unlike Torque's shoulder pads that are connected to his shoulder, these are actually connected to his body. So you can't go all the way up without that happening. So his arm articulation is horrendously hindered by these really crappily designed shoulder pads. If it was a figure art or designed like Torque, they would have attached the joint to the upper portion of the arm here, and they wouldn't have had this problem. So he can't raise his arm at all. It only can kind of go this far before the joint gives out, and the arm falls off. So much for this being good. So we'll pop that off. We have to get his arm back on. Thankfully, these guys are really easy to put back together if they do fall apart. And the Sting, you fuck. You know what? The braid's gone. He got a haircut and he doesn't have one anymore. So we'll go with that. So his arms have a tendency of falling off. His shoulder pads are terrible. And enough complaining. We'll get into the accessories. So obviously he has his little final vent card right there. Figma bag, Figma stand, swing vent. He's the only one with swing vent as far as I know. Camo might, I don't know for sure. But that just, it looks good in a sculpt sense. But the way that it's designed, it's curved really weird. It can curve right up here. This part swivels right here. Nothing else does, however, so. There's that. The evil visor. I don't know why it's the evil visor, because... Well, it's because it's evil diver, but he's not evil, so I don't really know what's going on here. But there's that. I got a complaint about this, but it's technically the show's fault, not his. But hand-wise, we've got card holding hand, visor holding hand, 2 swing vent holding hands, 2 relaxed hands, and then 2 splayed open hands. Typicalness. My gripe is, unlike Incisor's visor, and unlike Dragon Knight's visor, it doesn't clip in anywhere. It's just simply a handheld shield-like thing. So, it's kind of... It wasn't for the fact that this hand holds it pretty tight. In fact, it's actually kind of difficult to get in there. I had to bend the hand a little bit then. So, if it wasn't for the fact that it holds it fairly tight, particularly when you wedge it in there like that, I would have a lot more problems with it. But I'm just used to the visors having a place to plug in or something. But I guess that's not really possible considering the placement of it. In fact, I honestly didn't know that he had a handheld visor. I thought it was attached to his arm, to be honest. But such is life, I'm wrong yet again. So, we'll put in the swing vent holding hand, plug the swing vent in, and then I can begin griping about this. Oh, fuck. More problems! So, it's not supposed to do that, but as you can kind of see, the swing vent is giving up, because I bent it, and it's now coming undone, so that's terrific. Hooray. This is horrendously loose in this hand. If you bring it up to where you'd actually be whipping, it just kind of falls down. So, let's figure out how to do that gay pose on the back of the box. So we've got that. Then this is supposed to be like this. And then this wraps around like that. So it's something kind of like that. I guess. I don't really know. So he's just kind of like that. I'm probably going to end up changing this pose. But, plug it into the back. That looks like about as far as it's going. See, this is a really weird pose for a guy that wanted to go into the military. Plug his braid back in since it's stationary now. And there you go. So, complaints aside, once he is posed and on display, he isn't that bad. But if you're a person that really, really, really likes posing figures and like just sits there and consistently like poses a figure, he's not that great. The articulation's heavily hindered by these really crappy shoulder pads. I don't particularly dig the fact that his visor doesn't have anywhere to plug into. The whip doesn't hold tight in his hand at all, so he's forced into weird poses. Like, I honestly couldn't get him to do that pose up there if I tried, because you just can't hold the whip like that. So, while he's not an absolutely horrid figure, he's easily the weakest of the Figmas so far, in my opinion. If you're a huge, huge fan of Sting or Raia, then you might like it more than I do. But considering I wasn't a huge fan of either of the two characters, and the problems that the figure itself has as a figure, it's just not that great. I honestly don't even particularly recommend it. If you're a completist, go ahead. But if you're just kind of casually plucking Dragon Knight Figmas up, I would just skip this one completely. So it's kind of a shame, because they had a really good track record going, considering he shipped with this guy. And this guy is so good that it's kind of a shame. So we're up to 6. So you can check out a written review at redhouserangersrambles.com, bringing you the latest token news in the craziest way possible. So take care and have a great one. Bye.